All right, everyone, it is 12 o'clock. Welcome to the next iteration of the Share My Screen series on advanced content design. My name is Katrina Boylan. I am the senior research writer at the Center for Injury Research and Policy at Nationwide Children's. I am also the program coordinator for the Center for Injury Research, Translation and Communication, also known as CERTC. If you're new, welcome. We're glad you're here. If you've been with us for a while, thank you for coming back. We appreciate your support. Now, the Center for Injury Research and CERTC, the Center for Injury Research, Translation and Communication, was started because we wanted to share the tips, the tricks, the best practices that we are using every day in our health and science communication. And we thought it would be really great to share those with other public health professionals, researchers, nonprofits, really anyone who is trying to better communicate and reach an audience. The Share My Screen series came out of what happens generally in our meetings, where we are sharing our screens with each other to demonstrate skills, to collaborate on projects. That's really where a lot of our learning and building of great communications products happens. So we decided to turn that into education and outreach and give you a behind the scenes look at the things that we are literally doing every single day for our practice in health and science communication. All right, so this session is going to be on using Canva to some of the advanced Canva tools. Now, in our last session, Tracy covered how to use ChatGPT to generate content ideas. Now, if you missed that session, it is available on our YouTube channel, which I'll put up a slide at the end that will have all of that information as well. But in that session, Tracy used ChatGPT to come up with different ideas that you could use to create content around a particular topic area. Now, she did it on lawnmower safety. So I'm going to pick up where she left off, and we're going to talk about how you can take some of those ideas and use Canva's advanced tools to put those into action. Now, a couple of notes before I get started, and I'm going to go ahead and get my screen shared here. But a couple of notes before I get started, which is I am using the Canva Pro account. And so if you do not have Canva Pro, some of these features will not be available to you. But if you do have, if you're an educator or you're a nonprofit, then you can get this account for free, the Pro account for free. Otherwise, it isn't that expensive. And for the amount of tools and stock images and the templates that you get, I really think it is worth the money. So again, this is all going to be on the Pro account. The second thing is that we do have our brand guidelines added. And I talked about that actually in the very first Share My Screen segment. And so what you can do is if you don't know about your brand guidelines or you don't know how to enter those into Canva, go back and check out that very first Share My Screen series, again, on the YouTube channel, and that will show you all about your brand guidelines. Okay, so let me move this aside. Now, as you can see over here to the right, I went back to Tracy's ChatGPT talk and copied down what the prompts were that she was given. So she asked ChatGPT, give me 3 ideas for carousels on lawnmower safety. And so this is, you can see my notes here to the right, that is what what ChatGPT spit back out. So we're going to work off of this. Now, before I dig in, I want to make another note. As you might recall, we talked about fact checking things that ChatGPT is putting out, and I'll give you a good example. So over here on the right in those notes, you can see this statistical highlight for 27 kids are injured by lawnmowers every day in the US. That's an updated number, actually. So when I started to pull this information, I went back and I did a little bit of research to look to see it previously had said 23 kids a day are hurt by lawnmowers. I wanted to check that fact, so I did a little research. Sure enough, University of Iowa put out a new study just earlier this year that found that about 10,000 kids a day, or I'm sorry, a year, are hurt by lawnmowers. So again, just doing some simple math, that actually came out to 27 kids a day, not 23. So just a note, a reminder to always fact check what you're seeing off of ChatGPT. The other thing is, because it's a lot easier to copy and paste out of this, I would recommend going back and making sure that your text that it says is correct and what you want to say. I haven't actually edited any of the text here because that's not, this is not an official product, but I do recommend you go back and edit your text as well. Okay, so let's get going. Now, we were going to do an Instagram carousel. And so obviously we're going to go ahead and create an Instagram post. Now, I'm going to do just a post rather than a story because it doesn't have, we're going to do a carousel and that's a lot easier. So we're going to create that Instagram post. All right. And so now what we're going to do is there's a couple of different ways you can approach this. So if you already have some ideas in mind based off of what you're seeing off of ChatGPT, you can go ahead and design. If you've got templates or anything like that, you can start from scratch. However, Canva Pro especially offers a lot of great templates that you can start from. I did cover template editing in that first session of the Share My Screen series as well. So I'm not going to go too much into this, but I wanted to show you how you can, again, take these ideas from ChatGPT and then put them into Canva. So on the Canva account, I want to just make also a little note. Anytime you're seeing the little stars or anything on, so there's these stars on this magnifying glass, that means it's got an AI component to it. It's what Canva is calling a magic element. And so this is, you can use this same search bar to do a couple of things. First thing I want to show you though is the templates that are available just as Canva templates. And so we're going to go ahead and do an Instagram carousel. And so you can go through, it's got a suggested thing. So what you want to see though is when you hover over the posts, these are the ones that already are created by Canva, and you can adapt these again using brand guidelines. You can change out the photos. But what you're looking for is, you can see as I hover over it, it kind of moves through the different designs in the template. Here it's got 7 different slides. If we look over to our notes over here, looks like we're actually going to need 8 slides. So you might need to get creative and do some, editing or something like that to create your 8th slide. The other thing I want to note is you want to look at where you're going with your carousel and match your template to that. So you can see over on the right, it says the cover image is going to be a bright, eye-catching image. Well, if you've got a template that starts with text, it's probably not going to be a good match for your content. So that's one way to kind of sort through the templates, is to really look for things that are going to match well with what ChatGPT has already kind of put out there as possible content ideas. All right, so looking through here, we can try, again, ones that have different photos in it might be a good one. So here's one that has some different photos in it. Go ahead and pick it, and you can see all of the different templates there, and go ahead and click apply all. All right, so now you've got a template. And again, I'm not going to take you through this because we've kind of already covered this again in that very first Share My Screen series. But again, you can swap out the photos here. I would recommend also looking at design elements. So for instance, this little star up here for lawnmower safety might not be the right element. So you can go ahead and just delete those if you want. The other thing that is really great about Canva Pro and getting your guideline, your brand guidelines set up, is that when you come over here to brand, you can change the color schemes on these templates really easily. You see how it says shuffle if I hover over the color palette we have. And so this is our Sortsy color palette. And so if you click shuffle, you can just click through until you find a color scheme that you really like. And then if you go down here to apply all pages, click on that. And again, it will go ahead and apply that across all of your pages. And so then you go through and then copy and paste your text, over here from your right into your template. All right, so that's one way to do this. Now, Canva actually has rolled out Magic Design, and that is an AI-powered tool that will help us come up with some maybe different creative ideas and also start to input text. So again, 2 ways to kind of do this. So I've played around with this a lot, and it's not perfect yet. So you do have to do a little bit of maybe just a little messing around to try to figure out what works for you. But there's 2 ways that I've done this. The first one is to just literally copy and paste this whole text from the top about the whole carousel. So I'm going to copy and paste that over here and see what it comes up with for an Instagram carousel for lawnmower safety tips for parents. And so right up here is where you'll see magic design. We're going to click on see all. These are all AI generated posts that that Canva is going to come up with based on our prompt. Now, again, I'm going to hover over these because not all of them are carousels. And this is where Canva is still struggling a little bit with this. Oh, here's one that's a carousel. Now, again, they're not always showing up as carousels. And so I'm going to see if there's any other ones here just because. Okay, no other carousels. This is one I might not use simply because text overlaid on images can be hard for contrast and hard for accessibility. If you're new to accessibility, that's actually the subject of our next Share My Screen series, and I'll have information at the end. But you know, especially for something as active as an image of a lawnmower and grass, you know, it might not be one that I'm going to use. I'm going to use this for demonstration's sake, but you can actually go back and give it just a tiny change in the prompt and get some different things out of it. So let's just see if we've got something else. Once again, lots of great templates down here that you can use, but I'm always curious to see kind of what they've got. So let's, again, look through here and see if we've got any carousels. And we might not. Okay. Even the one that says top 5 tips for lawnmower safety doesn't have a carousel. Okay, so there's a couple of things you can do here. You can either import them individually. You can actually add a new page and just import that design. And you can actually go back through if you wanted to and make a couple of these. If you do have that carousel that showed up before, it applies the same way this carousel did. You're going to go ahead and just apply it to the whole thing and then update, update, update. Okay, so once you've gotten your designs down, you've got everything updated, I want to show you a couple of different tools that we're using in these other spaces. But oh, actually, before I do that, I did want to show you, as I was playing around with this, with these prompts, this is what I ended up coming up with. So this was actually a template that it already did. And so this was a nice one for lawnmower safety. And then let's see, this is one that Canva came up with itself. This is one that I put into the magic design, as you can see up here. And this was one of the this is one of the sets of tips or the sets of templates that it came up with. So again, you need to change some things. This is not an image that we're going to use like this, but it makes it a great way to get started, especially if you've already got the content from ChatGPT. Okay, wanted to show you a couple of the other tools that, again, we're using pretty consistently. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you how you can, a lot of us are doing different types of promos. And so I was trying to, you know, this is one that I've used in other areas. And so I thought of a way to demonstrate this. But let's say we need an Instagram post for the best boss ever. You know, let's say it's, you know, boss's day and you really want to highlight what a great job your boss is doing. So we're going to ask Instagram for a template based on the best boss ever. Oh, and it didn't give us, hang on, let's try this again. It didn't give us a magic suggestion. And that's really what I'm going for here. So let's see. Well, this is a little bit finicky at times because it's new technology. Let's try this. Instagram post for best boss ever. All right, let's see what it comes up with. Again, I could use one of those templates down below, but I like to see what it comes up with, and I'll show you why this is useful. All right, we're going to go to see all, and we've got a bunch of different templates. Now, one of the great things about Canva as well is if you've got photos uploaded, you can incorporate them into these designs immediately, and that's right here under the media section. All right, now I went and I downloaded the best bosses ever headshot yesterday. And so we can go ahead and just add these straight into these templates. And so you can see how maybe not this one, best boss ever over for not that great, but some of these others are really nice. You know, you could do something like this and that looks great. Now, I did one yesterday, and this is one of the templates they came up with. And so what I wanted to show you is how then you can make this a little extra special, tailor it a little bit by simply editing the photo. And so I'm gonna make that bigger. All right, over here at edit image, has a lot of these design tools that we're using pretty frequently to manipulate images or, make these visuals reflect what we need them to be. Background remover is one that we are using a lot. Now, the great part about this is not only is it useful in our industry, which is injury prevention and safety, a lot of photos are not meeting safety guidelines. So we're able to isolate elements or, just pull the kit out or something like that and take out the thing that's wrong in the background. But it's also great that we have the ability to, again, kind of customize these templates. So great photo, Tracy, but we can actually make this a little sharper. And I want to show you how. So if you take the background remover, what I did yesterday was then I went through and I added, let's see, how do I get my background? But you can see it's just a little bit sharper. It's a nicer look. And so you can really do nice things by, again, pulling that media into the magic design and then using some of those tools to edit. All right, let me show you the next tool that I thought was super cool. Now, I will fully admit this was 100% unintentional. I did not mean to do this. This was a screw up. So I discovered that you can make these cool shadows, I guess they are, by using a couple of the tools together. So this is just a photo from Canva already that I've removed the background of. It's probably over here in my recently used. So yeah, this is the photo that I originally used. I just removed the background on it the exact same way I did previously. I'm going to delete that. But when I tried to edit out one of the girls, because if you don't notice, she's not wearing shoes down here. And so I wanted to take that out. But what I found is that once you take out the background and you try to then move one of the pieces of it, you get these kind of cool shadows. And I want to just show you real quick how this works. So if you click on the original image, go to edit image, and then again, I've already done the background remover, and we're going to go to magic grab. All right. And so when magic grab comes up, you can see I've already actually grabbed these, and so they're no longer available. This one's the only one left. And so it's highlighted there in purple. I'm going to click grab here. This part does take a little bit. So give it a second to work. Let me check over here. Generation fall prevention. Okay. Yeah, that one. Oh boy, fall prevention is always one I'm interested to see the images on. We'll look at that here in just a second. But okay, so when you've got this through that magic grab, it now becomes a movable image. And so if you just pick it up and grab it, it moves, but I have a colored background on here. It's colored orange, but it ends up with this kind of cool looking shadow. So just again, this was something I randomly came across. It was totally unintentional, but it might be a neat kind of design element or something that you can incorporate into a social media post to give it some energy. All right, wanted to show you what the magic edit can do. I will say this one is a little harder as well. So here I've got a picture of this girl holding a car key, but let's say that doesn't exactly meet our needs. I was trying to think of things. So let's say we're going to do hydration. That's another topic in child injury we work on. So we can try to change this key to a water bottle, for instance. So what I try to do is I do a combination of two things. I will use the magic eraser to come in, and you can just highlight the area you want to erase and do this, and then erase it. And you'll end up with a little bit of a kind of like a fuzzy kind of background image. We'll give this a second to work. And so it's gone, not terrible, right? So then what we can do is go back to the magic edit. And what you're going to do is highlight the entire area you want to have filled. So like this is going to be a little larger because I'm trying to make this kind of water bottle-y sized. To be honest, I did this before and I did it just the size of the keys. And so it turned out that all of the things that replaced it with were also the size of the keys. So highlight the area that you want it to fill. And then this is the part that doesn't always work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So what you can do is add water bottle. And let's see. This is where, again, sometimes I've actually gotten some reasonably good images, sometimes not. So this is, again, one to kind of iterate with, play around with, and see if it works for you. Actually, that's not that bad. I'm pretty impressed with that. That's one of the better options that I've gotten. So you can see that one not as realistic, but that actually is fairly realistic. So again, playing around with these things can yield some good results, but it's not perfect. It's still working. All right, last couple of things here before we go to the questions. I wanted to show you the text edit super quick because this is also one that I've used. So for instance, we've got this bottle of pills. If you go in and grab the text, that's what I'm looking for here. It's called grab text. All right, it's going to come up with, again, surrounding in purple is all of the things that you can edit. So if I click on this and hit grab, it becomes an editable text file rather than part of the image. So I could come in here and put whatever I need in here, ibuprofen. I mean, I know that's not ibuprofen, right? But the point is that you can come in and change that. Same thing with images like this. This is one that I wanted to show for the grab text as well, simply because it shows something else you need to consider. Now, again, the things that will show up in purple are editable, so you can click on as many as you want. We're going to click on Chicago Fire Department. If you're changing something like this, change all of the text because, again, it becomes editable and it actually will interpret what font it thinks matches it the most. You can see here that these are supposed to be the same fonts, but Canva didn't assign them the same. And so I can edit them so that they say, whatever I need them to say. We live here in Columbus, so I'm going to put in Columbus. But as an image, that looks wrong. So I'm going to need to match one or the other. And I mean, personally, I think this one looks more like a real fire department. I can see that's Archivo Black font. So I'm going to come and change this one to Archivo Black. And so now you can see that's passable, perhaps, for a Columbus Fire Department. All right, I'm going to stop this right here and we'll check over at our questions, but I'm going to keep this up because we had at least one other question. Okay, so if we do another example of generation, maybe we see what comes up with fall prevention. Are you looking for the designs? So I think you mean Instagram post on fall prevention for adults, I'm thinking. And let's see what it comes up with. Okay, and feel free to put any other questions in the chat if there are, because at this, this is where if I've gone over something too quickly or if you've got questions, this is the time to ask. So it didn't come up with that. Hang on, let's try this again. Let's try Instagram carousel. We'll see if it comes up with that. Huh. Oh, so we need to clear Best Boss Ever from our media designs, otherwise she will get pulled in. It will pull in anything that you've previously done. But okay, so here's the designs for adult fall prevention. Now, again, I am not surprised that it did not handle fall prevention very well. Different type of fall prevention here. But again, it's not perfect. This is still developing. You might need to play with the prompts. So it might be carousel on preventing trips and, well, preventing, I'm trying to think of other words other than falls, and this is not my space. So let's try. It's not great with public health at the moment. I will say it's again, emerging technology, as they say. All right, let's see what it has over here. Okay, so these actually aren't much worse. Now, it does seem, or they're much better. It does seem like Canva has some kind of preset templates. This is one that looks very similar to one we got for the lawnmower safety. But again, it at least is starting with people that are older adults. We're not seeing anything that you might see in the fall prevention space. It's not capable of pulling in that yet. But the other thing you can do, and this is one that I could demonstrate, is if you've got the individual slides, you can also ask it for the individual tip, and that might get you closer. So for instance, tip 2, never allow children to ride on a lawnmower as passengers. You can put that over here in the magic generation, and it will actually pull that text into the templates for you. So This one didn't do super great with the images. This one's got um, a variation of that text, right? So again, it's not perfect yet, but I really think it's helpful to at least use these as a jumping off point. There are many more tools out there that can be used to generate new things, and that's really what we're going to be showing you in the future as well. There's since I have time, I'm going to show one more thing that I think is super cool, and that is if you go under the apps. Let's see, my apps. This is the mockups, and this is something that other people might find helpful too. This is where you can add your own images to kind of preset Canva templates that then can be exported. So I've used this one for video before. And what you do is you see how this laptop lid kind of opens. So you're going to put that in here. I'm going to try to make this as big as possible so you can see it here. And then you're going to take a photo that you've already uploaded. We'll put Tracy in again. Sorry, Tracy. Give it a second here. Or more than a second. Okay. You can come in and change this. You see how you can edit. So you can pull it down so her actual face is on it. Apply those changes. About a second here. Again, it takes just a little bit of time. And if you play this, you now have a video that can show maybe it's a promo for an event, or there are other ones with smartphones. So you can show information being presented on a phone. So again, that is the mockup app over here in apps. So highly recommend that one. All right, one more example, and that is of something that we did for one of our ATV safety campaigns, which was you can, again, move things around in an image. And so this is something we recently released through Prevention on Injury, which is another program that we run. But we have used things like the magic grab to move things around in images as well. So this is the ATV safety carousel that we worked on that Katie recently put out. And so the way that she edited this image, so first of all, sometimes I think this is a flipped image and you cannot do some of these tools on flipped images. So I'm going to test this. Yeah. Okay. So if it is a flipped image, you do have to flip it back in order to use these tools because flipped is already considered an edit. All right. So let's say though, this is really close to these two elements are really close to each other. Katie did this by flipping it, but you could also, if the photo works, pick it up and move it. And this is a way you can do that. So again, once we get here, you can grab that image just by clicking on it. And here's where it gets a little tricky. Because of the way photos work, moving them kind of up or down in the image will change the perspective, and thus it might not be in focus in the right way and it will seem manipulated. So I recommend sticking to moving things kind of left or right, unless it's an image where you're not seeing as much what's called depth of field as this one. You're seeing way out in the back and it's blurry. So if you move this in the back, oh gosh, that's right. This one's tough because it also has because it's okay, so if you're using a frame, this is one is using a frame where if you drop the image in, it sizes it automatically. If you use the grab image in a frame, it will apply it to the frame. So here's where I recommend you use your keyboard. I have it selected, as you can see, by the purple around it. But when I tried to move it with my mouse, it popped into that frame and I don't want that. So if you just move the arrows on your keyboard, like I'm just going to hit the arrow. Oops, got to select it. There we go. Now it's selected. And if I just move this to the left here, I can get this more centered in my frame. But I want you to notice there are shadows on the bottom that are going to look different depending where this ATV lands. So that's centered. And actually, when we click off of that, that's not too bad. Actually, I think that looks pretty good. That dirt doesn't look kind of unnatural here or here. So I think that's actually pretty good. So another way you can use that magic edit or magic grab to change where something is in an image, to make it more useful for your social media needs. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, it's 12:30 already. That went super quickly. So I'm going to stop sharing. And real quick, we're going to show let me get the graphic for next time. I promised that we would have some information about the next Share My Screen series, which again, feel free to register for that. You can go to bit.ly/SMS hyphen accessibility. The caps are important in that, so make sure you capitalize that. Otherwise, again, we've got our next session on September 12th. We're going to hear from Katie on resizing. Canva has some really great resizing tools, also on file sizes, optimizing that, and then how to export in different formats for different needs. And then finally there at the bottom, you can see all of our social media handles, including our YouTube channel. All of those can be found at certsy_. Okay, one more question. Okay, so I think that's about it. We'll see you next time on September 12th. And again, don't forget to register for that accessibility training. Oh, one more thing. I will send this out to everybody as soon as I get it loaded on YouTube. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching.
Looking for more HealthCom content? Check out all of our trainings and resources at cirtc.org.